All right, Survivor Indianapolis. The week has come, it has arrived. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Uh, it's time to celebrate and rejoice. It happened. Stephanie's gone. Um, in case you're for the uninitiated, this is Suri coming for Stephanie 4 different games. I believe the first time is Heroes versus Villains, and then this is Ooh, Snake in the Grass is a show that Stephanie and Suri did together, and this is the Traders. It's when Suri and Stephanie played the Traders, and now season 50. Here comes Suri. Knock, knock, knock. It's time to go, Stephanie. Let's go. Good stuff. Just this is it's good stuff. Okay, let me go ahead and get into the real meat of this episode, which is this big twist of Mr. Beast. This has been the one that I've been dreading the entire season. Not because I hate Mr. Beast or I think, whatever, but because we knew that he was going to be on this episode, and I know his content, and I know that what he does is dramatic and chaotic. It's big, it's bold, and it works for his stuff. And I've watched a lot of his stuff and been like, yeah, that's really fun, that's really interesting, that's really whatever. But getting that to fit with Survivor was something that I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Especially the more that we started seeing twists that I was like, that kind of fell flat, or I didn't really love that, or I absolutely hated it. Um, just to give you a quick rundown in case you've missed other episodes of what I've talked about, Billie Eilish Boomerang Idols I thought were meh at best. It just they got kind of unlucky that totally backfired to just screw over Genevieve, right? Someone who got swap screwed that found 2 idols and could have really could have used one, and was able to use zero because of the twist of it being a boomerang idol where you can't actually have it. It would have been cool if it was like if you find a second boomerang idol, you can keep it because you've already given one away, something like that. That would have helped in this scenario, but I still just think the idea of having to give away an idol that you found, um, especially if you're gonna have a swap in the season and that kind of thing. It's just I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. Wasn't the end of the world for me. Wasn't like this terrible thing, but I just didn't think it was great. Okay. Then the Blood Moon twist, when the players have no idea this is coming, it's absolutely random. I thought was bad. Um, then we also had Zach Brown somewhere in there, which was just a waste of time. It was bad because it was a waste of time, but it wasn't terrible. I don't need to see Zach Brown go fishing. If I wanted to see him go fishing, I would watch, some show that he does by himself go fishing. If I wanted to hear him sing, I'd go on YouTube or Spotify or something and listen to his songs. Just not something I needed to spend it, half an episode on. Um, Nothing against Zach Brown, but even if I was it would have to be like someone I adore, and even then I would still be like, yeah, I could go watch them live. I could buy a ticket to their concert. I could play the music in my car, play the music on my phone, play the music, whatever. I have records, whatever. Just like a long time to spend for not Survivor content. But again, at the end of the world, didn't screw anybody over. Um, then we get to the partners duo, the couple duo twist. I actually liked that. I thought that I talked about it before several times. I thought that that could have, um, because they had notice and they knew this is 50, crazy things have been happening. They were able to prepare, and sure, they didn't know everything, but they knew enough. And in my opinion, they knew enough. And at the end of the day, if your social and strategic games are good enough, you could have kept yourself safe, even if you're paired with somebody who like other people wanted out, right? Some people wanted Christian out, but Jonathan was with him, and Jonathan's connections with the same people that wanted Jonathan out, or sorry, Jonathan's connections with the people that wanted Christian out were good enough that they were never going to vote Christian out. They were never going to vote Jonathan out as a sacrifice for getting out Christian. And the same is true for Christian. His connections with the people that wanted Jonathan out, like Rick and Emily, and that group of people were so good that they would never have voted out Christian just to get Jonathan, right? So if the rest of your game is good enough, you should be fine. Also, you have a chance to win immunity with 2 people. You get to pick. You know that you're going to work together in the challenge, so you have an opportunity to pick somebody who can help your weaknesses or help make up for things that you can't do as good in challenges. Have a chance to win the challenges. Also, if you play an idol or shot in the dark, it covers both your butts, so you have even extra ways to save yourself. So like that twist to me, I felt like was good and it worked out fine. And if it had messed over somebody that I really liked, like I had Chrissy and Coach on my fantasy team, and I was still like, good twist. If Coach or Chrissy, either one of them, had been so beloved, then they wouldn't have gotten voted off. But the fact that they were both kind of like, and Coach had been really loud and brash and whatever else, the last couple episodes sunk their ships. Then Christian came along, and that twist with Jimmy Fallon. I should say Jimmy Fallon came along, and that twist with Christian. If you didn't hear my episode last week, I abhorred one of the worst twists I've ever seen in Survivor. Literally, and I talk about it for like 10 or 15 minutes. Not quite 15, but like probably 8 to 10 minutes. I talk about it in the last episode. So I won't talk about it again. One of the worst things I've ever seen in Survivor, though. This, I actually thought overall was really good. Okay. So number one, um, it's set up to be this huge, crazy twist when really, and it is, but it was set up to be like, oh, the whole tribe has to buy in for this auction thing. You all have to buy in. If you don't all buy in, then it doesn't, doesn't happen, whatever. And the loved one letters being the hook to open the door to the chaos, I thought was really great. Number one. Number two, it ended up just being an individual thing, but it created so much chaos. And I'll wait. I haven't listened to Stephanie's exit interviews, and I haven't heard anyone else talk about this episode yet. That's already been that was actually on the beach. So I don't know, but it for sure. But it seemed like this looming threat of something crazy is getting ready to happen m kept enough of a question in their minds that they were not able to really fully strategize and commit to a plan, and that added to the chaos. And people like Suri are able to swim in that stream, and people like Stephanie, they're going to drown in it. And I like that. I like when a twist or something happening in the game separates the strong strategic swimmers from the people that just don't got it. And Stephanie, sorry, babe, you don't got it. And it bit her in the butt. So I like that. Also, when they get to tribal council and it's revealed, I like that it wasn't about Mr. Beast. Like, yes, it was about Mr. Beast, but like he wasn't at the whole auction. He was only there after they all bought in. So like if they had been like, well, I don't want to risk whatever chaos is on the other side of getting the loved ones letters. I don't want it. So I'm not going to pay my $2. Then I guess it just wouldn't have happened. Now, of course, production knows like they're going to all pay $2 for their loved ones letters. And even if they know something crazy might happen, it's part of the game. Like, don't you want to have some fun thing happen? Sure. So, but then Mr. Beast comes out. He's there for like a couple minutes, and then he's gone. He's not just there the whole time, taking up space and making it about himself. Then tribal council comes, and he's not there. He comes at the end after they have a normal tribal council conversation. Then he comes to like do his super beware advantage. And them calling it a super beware advantage tells the players what they need to know. Because a beware advantage is risk and reward. You succeed and you get something good, you fail and you lose something that you don't want to lose. So it sets the stakes, I thought, very well. And then it wasn't just like, okay, who wants to do this super beware advantage? And you don't know what it is. The regular beware advantages, you have to open them not knowing for sure what it is. You know it's an idol, and you know that if you fail, you're going to lose your vote, but you don't know what you have to do. And that they used that to change up what you have to do season to season. We had so many different beware advantage iterations. You have to say the magic phrase. You have to like gather up different people's beads or something like that was one of them. I think one of them was melting that big piece of wax in a fire. There's several different ones, and they have like just different ways, different tasks. So you didn't really know, and it might be a task that your skill set wasn't really suited for, or it could be one that you were really good at. Like season 41, how many of those people that had to say those magic phrases, just like I mean, I don't remember the guy's name now. It'll come to me in a minute, but the guy that had to say that broccoli looks like little trees or something like that. Wasn't even that hard of a thing to say. He like couldn't say it right. And he like messed it up and they went ahead and counted it anyways, but he didn't actually say the phrase. He said like the gist of the phrase. And it was like awkward as all get out. And if anybody had any question as to whether or not he was doing something that wasn't just to hit himself playing the game. It was pretty clear that this was not normal. So again, they know going into it, this is a coin. You're gonna flip the coin. If the coin hits heads, you get immunity to this tribal council. You get an idol, the prize pot gets doubled. If you flip tails, you're out of the game. The stakes are totally out there. And if and and I love the fact that if nobody wanted to volunteer, they would just draw rocks. And so like it does happen because they all bought in for it to happen, and it's left up to fate. And then if someone does want to do it, like Rick wanted to do, it had to be unanimous. Everyone had to say, "I'm okay with that." And if you weren't okay with that, then you had to put your hat in the ring to draw a rock against Rick to see if you got to do it or he got to do it. And so it just gave so much player agency. Yes, the stakes were astronomically high, higher than maybe any twist has ever had outside of, again, I'm going to bring it up again, the stupid Monty Hall problem thing where they had the skull on the box, um, where, not Jamal, Jawan? I can't remember now. Season 41. Um, he was like the third or fourth place finisher. I think he was third. Because fourth was Erica's, uh, right-hand woman. I can't remember her name right now. But that twist, they brought it back again on season like 42 or 43, and luckily both people that did it, they did not lose, or else they would have been out of the game. But that was a 1 in 3. This is a coin toss, 50-50. Um, and so like those are the only things I think that I can think of that had like you do this thing, and if you fail, you're out of the game. So huge stakes, but you double the prize pot, you get an immunity idol, and you get individual immunity for this tribal council, which was huge. Um, and of course it hit. Like I don't even care if it's rigged. I don't think it can be. Like a lot of people like to talk about Survivor possibly being rigged, and I know that there's a whole term for it, but they have like a fairness committee that is like a entity that exists to help make sure that game shows aren't rigged and that they're fair, um, for the contestants, so that nobody can get sued. It's basically a way for the company, like Paramount or whatever company makes whatever other game show, can say like, hey, we want this independent body to come in, check our stuff, so that we can be sure that we won't get sued by someone's lawyer. And so with that existing, I just don't think it could be faked, unless they like weighted the coin. But like then you're like risking that Mr. Beast and Jeff would know this, and maybe a couple other production people, and nobody else would know this, and they have to keep a tight lip. Like, it seems unlikely to me. Um, as someone who doesn't really believe in a lot of conspiracy theories, but um, anyways, I just thought like all that was great. My only hesitation, potential negative is it too powerful to give him individual immunity and an idol? My answer right now is maybe. There are still what, 10 players I think left, and so he's gonna have to use the idol probably. If especially in this situation where you're like, well, what if it screws over my favorite? Like if you're rooting for like Jonathan, let's just say, and you're like, well, now if you're Jonathan, you have Ozzy with an idol, Rizzo with an idol, Rick with an idol. You're gonna have to get them all out, like bang, 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 and you're gonna have to flush the idols potentially for 3 different people. Like, how do you do that? Well, you should have thought ahead. Like a lot of people, like with Rizzo in 49, and other people in other games where you just don't flush the idol very well. You don't commit to flushing the idol, and they can just hold on to it, and then it's your fault. Like it's your fault for not planning ahead and being strategic enough or convincing enough to get them to play the idol or vote them out. Like you have to put them in a position where it's like you're gonna go home if you don't play your idol. If you feel like you need to get them out. Now again, like Rizzo in 49, the word on the street, so to speak, has been kind of like people think that he would not have been voted off, that he would not have won the game. I'm sorry, and so no one felt the need to vote him off. Kind of like Xander in 41, but I think probably not as extreme. But like I don't know. And Rizzo feels like he could have convinced him in the final tribal council, but he would have had to have a good final tribal council to win that game, from what the jury has said. And so people that were in with him were like, yeah, whatever, keep your idol, it's fine. You're not going to win the game. So if that happens, then it's different. But right now, Rick's playing a pretty good game. Rizzo. I mean, well, I don't know. I don't know if this jury is seeing Rizzo differently than 49, but maybe they are. Um, and Ozzy. I mean, I don't see how you could look at Ozzy's game and Rick's game and think, oh yeah, I could beat them, unless you're Suri, um, and that might be it. So it's something that I think you're gonna have to try to get them out. And so, um, but yeah, I think good twist, great twist, borderline great twist, great episode. The way that it worked, I think the way that it worked out helps accentuate some of the good things I liked about it, and it helps avoid some of the negatives. We'll see in the next couple of weeks if it stays true to be a great twist or not. Like if Rick is able to like skate through to the end because he had an extra idol. Um, then you might, it might be tough to feel that. It might be like, oh, actually, you know what? It actually was a little bit too much. But other than that, though, that's my thoughts on the episode. So let's get into fantasy. I'm going to share my screen here. Let's go. Fantasy, share. All right. Um, okay, I think it's working now. So, Christian was, again, like Stephanie was at 10th, but Christian still has plenty more points than she did. Christian still could end up top, like I said last week, top six or so. We'll see. Um, Jonathan had a huge fall, 95 points. Emily at 84, she's been at the bottom for most of the season. Serena 97, fell a couple spots. Rizzo fell a couple of spots. Tiffany moved up a couple of spots. And I think Joe and Aubrey were roughly in this area. Maybe they moved up a spot or two. Rick moved up a couple spots, and Ozzy's been top dog for a long time. So let's get into the standings really quick. I'm not going to talk about this for very long, just because like at this point it kind of is what it is. There's people that clearly cannot win the game, and people that are still in it, and people that are like probably can't win, but like you never know, I guess. And there's only three more episodes left, so it's coming to a close for sure. Okay, so 10th place is still Brooke, although she does still have Suri. So you could see her passing up Alyssa or Ben, maybe if Suri has a couple of big episodes and is in it all the way to the end. But 296 is, obviously pretty far from the lead. Alyssa is in ninth at 338, and again, she just has Suri. So I guess Brooke can't really pass her if they both just have Suri. So that's all for that. Ben is still in eighth place. He's not going to be moving in points, but he's been able to hold on to eighth place for the last couple of weeks. And then Alex is in seventh, and he still has two players, so he's still been kind of keeping pace and keeping ahead of those bottom three. But I think his position is slipping. Obviously, you have two people, which is kind of tough. Cameron is in sixth, and he only has two people as well. So Ozzy and Rick have had a great week, so that helped keep him ahead of Alex and helped get him kind of close to the next position. But if for Alex, if like Tiffany is the winner or Jonathan is the winner and Rick gets voted off next week or the week after that or whatever, that could really help Alex pass Cameron. But it just kind of depends on what's going to happen there. Fifth place is Noah, and Noah has four players. So although hasn't had great weeks the last 3 weeks, um, he still has four players and hasn't lost anybody since episode what, six? So he just has had low scoring players. That if he can keep them for the next couple episodes, he could rise up the ranks. So we'll see. Ellie's in kind of a similar position. She's 22 points ahead of Noah, but has five players. Just hasn't scored huge numbers. Had a good week this week. I think this is third this week, 50 points, but she's still 37 points behind the next person, which is myself, um, at 579. And I've also had a couple of lower weeks, losing Christian last week, and then the week before that losing Coach and Chrissy. Um, but this week didn't lose anybody. Had an okay week given that I had three people, but nothing to be too excited about. But I'm in third place there at 579. The gap is increasing though between me and the top two, Stacy and Mason. Stacy is still in second place. She's 50 points ahead of me. Did not lose anybody this week, so four players. And having Rick scoring a lot of points was pretty big for her. Um, but Mason increased the gap again. Another huge week. I mean, these 5 weeks: 90, 77, 73, 66, and 68. Next week's going to be crucial. Mason's at 655. He is what, 26 points ahead of Stacy. If losing Stephanie is pivotal next week, I don't think it's going to be. I mean, here's the thing. She's not been that great. She had a couple of really good weeks here, that were a big part of his 2 week jump here. But since then, she's not been very good. It's been other people. It's been Joe. It's been Rick. It's been Suri. It's, Jonathan here. It's been other people, other weeks that have helped keep him, helped propel him to the lead. Um, so next week's gonna be huge. There's only 3 episodes left with 10 people in the game, right? Or is it nine now? Let me double check the top. I can't remember. It's nine now. It was 10 to start the week. So, you know, generally they've been doing final five at the finale. I think they're probably gonna do final six this time, but that means that one of the next 2 episodes they're getting rid of two people. Unless they do final seven as the finale, which holy cow, that'd be crazy. Um, so I'm gonna assume the next 2 weeks we're gonna lose three people, whether it's 2-1 or 1-2. And who those are gonna be pivotal for for who wins this season, as well as who has the winner. If Suri wins, I think Mason probably is the winner. If Rick wins, I think it's going to be between Mason and Stacy because they both have Rick. And it could be just be dependent on like, oh, does Jonathan get voted off next with, I don't know, somebody else, but they have a lot of overlap because Stacy has Aubrey and so does Aubrey and Rizzo. Stacy has and Mason has Aubrey. Oh, sorry, Mason doesn't have Rizzo. So if like Rizzo has a deep run and Jonathan gets voted off next week, that could help Stacy catch back up, right? But other than that, like Joe and Rick, they both have. Here's Rick and here's Joe, and then Aubrey, they both have. So it's just like a matter of Rizzo being the X factor for Stacy against Suri for Mason, and so far they're aligned, so they could both go to the end together. Like we never know, but that's going to be pivotal. Is the next 2 weeks that we're probably going to lose three people, who are those three people and who has the winner. That's going to be a big part of who wins this season. But once again, guys, thanks for checking it out. If you have any questions, let me know. But other than that, see you next week, Mr. Beast. Thank you for your service.